this on? Okay. So Celso cheated because he's supposed to speak in English. He told me to speak in English, so for, I think there's around 10% of non-Portuguese, so I have my presentation in English, I'll speak in English. And thank you for coming. Welcome to Bright Pixels, and thank you, Celso and his team, for organizing this great event. There's, I say, 130 talks, so this, I looked at the program, and most of them I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So, but I think that the good thing in these events is that you can sort of listen to different things, and sometimes creativity comes from mixing themes up and having good ideas. So I'm going to talk to you about entrepreneurship and what I think of the entrepreneurship in Portugal. I know most of you are not in that phase yet, but it's with a sort of a call to action of some of you that will work for entrepreneurs. Some will be great entrepreneurs. You're part of the ecosystem. You're an important and talented part of the ecosystem. And so I thought it was important today to use my time to sort of tell you what I think of what's going around. So, but first, to present, this is a very personal view. I'm not an academic. I'm not part of any government organization. I've just sort of looked at the entrepreneurial scene from the investor and from the operational part. So SONAE IM, which is the part of SONAE that I run, is a tech corporate venturing arm of the SONAE group. We aim to build a portfolio of companies around SONAE core, which is retail and technology, and that's sort of one of the big differences, not all between corporate venturing and private equity or venture capital, is that we invest in our core activities, in the case of SONAE, retail and telecom. And we aim to invest around 40 million a year. SONAE IM is a recent creation. It's baptized about a year ago, but it has a long history. It's originally from Optimus, SONAE.com, and so we have a long history. We've invested around 70 million and had 50 million exits. All over the world. We did 10 acquisitions. We did our first big one was in Ireland, Cape Technologies, which was at the time the main competitor of WeDo Technologies. We did also an acquisition for WeDo in the United States. We did a cybersecurity acquisition of a company totally based in Spain, S21Sec, and a whole load of small acquisitions, bolt-on acquisitions for BizDirect, for safety, and some exits also. We sold Enabler, we sold Altitude, and recently sold Main Road, which was a data center company. But all around, I would say, mostly software, some hardware, but mostly software. So I sort of, with this, and I've been involved since the beginning, and part of my team also, and we sort of, looking at this, I thought, well, you know, what can I share with you that has some utility for the room? Oh, sorry, this slide, this is just where we are, no problem. Some hard facts and figures. Portugal is punching clearly below its weight. If we see in the last years, I mean, maybe we've missed one or two, but from all this talent, all this knowledge that we have in Portugal, these are the exits that, and I've been in two of them, but not a lot. The end result is not a lot. So we haven't managed to sell, IPO, trade sale, so the outcome, not famous. If you look at it in terms of exports, also not famous. 1% of something that you don't need big capital investors, it's not famous. We see Finland with 8, and Israel is also a very special case study, but when you see that a country can export 25% of overall exports in software, there is a very long journey for us. So why is this the case? I mean, is it a lack of talent? Well, in this room, I think we have extremely good talent. I based all these investments in SONAE in one fact that I truly believe is that we have great technical talent in Portugal. We speak more or less English, good English, much better than most nationalities speak English. We are creative, we are flexible, we have a good technical ecosystem for it to go very well. What things don't we have and that we need to be conscious that we don't have them? for entrepreneurship to work, for startups to work. We don't really have anybody that has, we don't have, because we don't have Portuguese companies in that's product software marketing, worldwide, commercial, good marketing people, good commercial people, networking. So somehow in this ecosystem, we have to take the great technical talent we have and import great talent in other areas that are extremely important. Because if you only have the technical and you don't have the marketing, the guy who's going to do the pitch, the sale pitch, or the commercial guy, you don't get anywhere. And so that's one of the things I fundamentally think is missing. Because I'm very, very sure, you saw that we have 1,000 people in SONAE IM. Most of them are technical people, and I'm sure that we beat anybody in that. Well, is it okay? Talent, we know that we have very good technical talent. We probably don't have a lot of the other talent because simply we don't have companies that are doing that. Doesn't mean that we don't have one or two. Funding, lack of funding, probably also a lack of funding. And a lack of funding, I would say, in the later stage. We have quite a lot of funding in the initial stages. Business angels, some more professional than others. But the problem is when the ticket starts going to about $1 million, there's nobody there in Portugal at the moment. So that's also a thing that we have to think about. How do we do that? A third thing is, public versus private funding. One of the companies that was here that did an exit, SONAE IM, was a minority shareholder. The name is Altitude. And I remember I was on the board of Altitude, and at a certain stage, there was 2 public funds in Altitude that had the majority of the capital. It doesn't make sense. It's a good thing because nobody else was there, so it was a good thing that they brought in the capital. But these companies, to work, they need much more than capital. And I was actually on the plane last night reading the TAP magazine, and there was an interview. The October number is a technology number. And there was an interview with one of our sponsors, the CEO, Fidzai, and he was saying that, well, when he struggled for a couple of years and then went to a German company for funding, and that he got, I can't remember if it was 1 million or 2 million, so this sort of sweet spot that's missing here in Portugal. And the guy from the fund said, okay, but two things. First, your software only has to solve one problem. You can't have a software that solves the world, because when you go in a door to sell a software, you can't have like the people that sell, things when you're at the traffic light and the guy comes and he sells you combs and other things and everything. Well, you don't need this, I have this. It can't be like that. You only have one shot at the door, and if you're a Portuguese small company, it took a lot of work to get that shot in the door. And so use it. You have to be very, very, very focused. And the other thing was, you have to go and live in Silicon Valley. And this is what I call really smart money. And there's absolutely no problem why a public fund in Portugal can't say exactly that to a Portuguese company. Why don't the public funds also use the money to put non-executive directors from Silicon Valley inside the Portuguese company? Why can't they send people to Silicon Valley? It doesn't have to be 100% Portuguese. Because the CEO or the major shareholder lives in Silicon Valley, it doesn't mean the company is not Portuguese. And so I think this public funding has to be smarter money than it is today. They do a good job because they're in the part of the market that it's difficult, but we can't see this as a technocratic sort of, how was your P&L? No, this month less 5%, more 5%. That we need a vision for this public money. It's very easy. I would say the first stage was go and hire non-executives and put them on the board of the companies you invest in Portugal. And we try to do that also. I'm sort of not giving lessons to other people. We also try to do that. We have a very minority shareholder in a company in Portugal today that we went to get the management from England, France, and they came, and it's much easier today to convince people to come and live in Portugal, if it's the case, than it was a couple of years ago. If you can't have them in Portugal, well, we can move them to another country. There's not a patriotic place where the CEO can live. I think if the value is created here, it's very good. So talent, funding, scale. What's the problem? Are we too small? That's a problem in the beginning, because you guys out there, you have an idea, you go and build this company, and then you need clients because you need to pay your salaries, the rent, and R&D is very expensive, so you don't have your product is not exactly finished, so you start by selling some services. So services are very hard to scale. They're very unique in the sense that you can't replicate them. And then, well, you sell the product and do this, and then the client says, well, I'd like this product also to close doors and open windows. And you say, OK, close doors and open windows. And then the next guy comes, he says, oh, no, but I want this to paint green. And you're in survival mode, basically. And so that's what happens to, and you have to pay salaries. And I've seen a lot of these companies. So it's very hard to focus. But it's the only way, I think, to beat scale, is saying to be very good at one precise thing and replicate it worldwide. And that's something that we have to think about when you start up your companies, when you work for your company. Is focus. And I know it's the toughest thing. I think I spend half of my time in meetings telling people, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that. They get a bit angry, but I think focus is essential into growth. Are we too small to compete in the global market? Probably if you make cars. I would say no if you make software. And that's our lucky part, that we're in a sector that doesn't need to build factories in Mexico or the States to expand. It's brains and internet and stuff like that. So I don't see that as a major obstacle here in this sector. We also have, maybe it's our entrepreneurial approach, and this happens a lot to me. Two guys come from university and they say, Cláudia, I have this idea, it's brilliant, and SONAE has to pay 2 million euros for it. I'm like, what? And then 5 years later they come and say, we can sell this to you for 100K because life is very, very hard, very tough. And so we have to balance this approach. In both ways. It's not only the entrepreneurs that think that when they have an idea that they are the Mark Zuckermans of the world. It's also us, in terms of partners, saying, look, your idea is probably not worth that, but let's try it together, and not for us to push for impossible things, asking for, I need a guaranteed 25% return, and this and this and that. We can't exaggerate. But this initial part is very important. There was a person that came to me, and he had a very good idea, actually. I liked the idea, but it's very early. He was a kid, and I said, look, we'll do one thing. You need to write the software, and you need a client. So I'll get you someone to write the software. It was an app, and your first client was a company inside SONAE. And then, if it works, you don't have to pay us anything. You have a client, you have a reference, and he said, no, this is SONAE, you have to pay me X. And we didn't do anything, and the idea didn't go further. So there's sort of a calibration phase at the beginning. And here we how can the ecosystem help? Because it's not only money, it's a client, it's a reference, it's a test, it's a POC, it's a lot of things. And how we balance that between our investors and you guys is very important. Otherwise, you'll just have a good idea that you think was worth a lot and nothing happened. And then survival mode is that 2 years later, you've tried, you have loans, and nothing happens. And I think the how we together manage this cycle is extremely important. And last, is it cultural? We belittle ourselves, the Portuguese fado. Are we pessimistic? Are we risk averse? My generation was probably a little bit. You guys, zero. And it's changed a lot. It's incredibly how much has changed. I mean, things like Erasmus, things like Portuguese studying abroad, foreigners coming to Portugal. It's a totally different mind frame. And I think that this is past. I think we are on another wavelength. I see that, you probably in this room are half my age. So the future is bright, like bright pixel. And that's going through what I've gone, I think that we've never been as well positioned as we are today. There's a lot of things going on here in Portugal. Firstly, we have a lot of companies that are in the news, that are doing well. There will probably be exits in a couple of years. But we've never had so much hype in Portugal and so many people looking at us. And I think the other things that we said that are missing, like financing or talent, marketing talent, commercial talent, they start to come. And they start to come in events like these, in events like the Web Summit, a lot of things. So we sort of have to be the most intelligent we can as a community to grab the good things that people are throwing at us in common. So events like these are important. Talent, future thinking. You guys will be in here 3 days, and then you'll go home, and there's a whole lot of things that you'll be thinking about. Meeting other people. You have an idea. Someone probably across the room has an idea similar, but two together could probably be better. How to organize ourselves. And as I told you, the Web Summit is coming. It's not as good as Pixel Camp, but it will do. And so, I mean, there's a lot of hype. And I think what we have to get out of it is, okay, that hype comes and goes, and we have to say, like, what are the good things that we need for them to stay here in Portugal? And so this is a very personal view of the sector, and just to get you thinking on these days that you're coding, what sort of maybe she's totally wrong, maybe she's a little bit right, and thank you again for coming. And the talks will be fantastic. And enjoy yourselves and get to know each other. Thank you very much.